The OnePlus Nord marks OnePlus's move back to their roots, offering a great looking phone with impressive internals at a low price. So I've had this phone for a couple of days now. It's not as early as other YouTubers, but I thought I'd still do a similar format to what they're doing, a first kind of impressions of them a few days after getting it, and then a full review after I've used it for a few weeks. So firstly, I've got to say, coming from the OnePlus 3T with its really thick bezels, it's really nice to not have to deal with bezels anymore. It's nice to have a screen that's basically end-to-end with only the Samsung style cutout cameras at the top there to kind of break it up a bit. It makes a really big difference, not just in terms of its look, but it also means that you have more screen real estate to stretch out widgets a bit, to get extra content on the screens, and yeah, it just makes for a better experience. The display also isn't curved, which is an advantage for a lot of people actually, because I do hear a lot of people complaining about accidental screen taps with a curved display. I have kind of experienced it with my mum's Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and I just kind of have gone off the novelty now, after having occasionally, used that phone over the past few years. The curved glass in the back though, I don't really feel is a novelty. It does actually make holding the phone a lot better than having these kind of rough edges that kind of just dig into your hand. It does make a really nice difference, and it is a lot nicer to hold. I didn't rush out and get a skin this time for the phone because I actually really like the cyan colour on the back. So I like my phones being as naked as possible, so I don't want to put a case on the back. There was actually a nice clear case supplied in the package, which had this kind of lightning bolt on the back of it. I just don't really care for cases, so it didn't last for me long on there at all. And the same was true with the front screen protector that was applied onto the phone. I don't even think it lasted me past the unboxing, to be honest. And under that screen is a fingerprint sensor, which is actually a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. So with this fingerprint sensor, at least from my usage so far, most of the time it's worked perfectly fine. It's unlocked almost instantaneously pretty much. Sometimes you have to wait for a second or so for it to work, and very, very rarely I've had to move my finger around the fingerprint sensor to kind of get it to read my finger properly. For the large majority of times though, it unlocks pretty much instantly, and yeah, it's great to use. There is an omission from the OnePlus 3T though that some people may miss. I'm not going to miss it personally, and that's the dual SIM card tray. I did notice that the OnePlus Nord only has one SIM card tray. Again, this may have happened on previous phones between the OnePlus 3T and this phone. I don't know whereabouts they cut it out. But if you did like having a work SIM, for example, along with your personal SIM in the phone, this may be something that you want to keep in mind with the OnePlus Nord. You won't be able to have more than one SIM in it. Not really a big deal for me, but I thought it's just something worth mentioning. But something that I feel is quite a big deal for me is the fact that they decided to put a plastic trim around the phone. And it's not that it really damages functionality. I mean, it does make me a bit more wary of the phone because obviously plastic is easier to break than metal. But I just feel like it takes away from what could have been pretty much a perfect design for the price. The glass on the front and the back makes the phone feel really premium, and the plastic does look like metal, but it's just kind of got that feel in your hand of plastic. And I feel like if they, instead of going with plastic, took some money from, the wide range of cameras that this phone's got and put some of that money into the case and maybe took out 5G and put that into the frame too, I feel like it would have been a much better experience. Yes, you wouldn't have as much cameras, which I'm actually going to talk about in a totally separate video because the cameras are a whole video in of themselves. But yeah, I do think that would have been a nicer decision, but I do see why they did it. Having 5G in a phone as well as having 6 cameras in a phone does sound a lot more impressive than, having a metal frame in a phone. Not really something you can advertise, or having wireless charging, which, some people appreciate, but the warp charging will, make up for that. So yeah, I can totally see why they did it from a marketing perspective. 6 cameras does sound impressive. But in an idealistic world, I would have gotten rid of some of the cameras, gotten rid of 5G because, the infrastructure's not there, and to be honest, I don't see why you'd need more than 4G anyway. Because the thing is with 5G, most mobile carriers don't let you use as much data as you want anyway. Most of them are limited, and even if they're not limited, I know with Vodafone at least they do kind of cap the speed, which just eliminates the point of 5G altogether anyway. So I just don't see that I'd ever really use that 5G chip. Chances are I'm just going to be browsing the web, browsing Twitter, possibly watching a YouTube video. Not really anything that's going to need all of that extra speed. You're not exactly downloading massive files on the go. So yeah, anyway, I'll stop rambling about that now, but it's annoying. Thankfully though, I do have to say that the buttons themselves are metal, so the volume button here, the alert slider, and the power button are all metal. And they do have a satisfying click to them, and if the OnePlus 3T is anything to go by, with the OnePlus 3T still having nice clicky buttons, I do think that the OnePlus Nord is going to keep the clickiness in its buttons. And generally, I found that the durability with the OnePlus 3T is really good. I've dropped it and done all sorts with it. It still looks really good. So I'm kind of hoping that with this having Gorilla Glass 5 and the 3T having Gorilla Glass 4, that this will be even more durable. Again, the plastic makes me less confident than the metal, but I do still think that it is going to be a durable phone. And one thing that isn't going to stay the same for its lifetime, I'm so sorry about the horrible transition, is the battery. So the battery in this phone is a 4100 milliamp hour battery, which is a good sized battery. That's about how much I'd like to see in a phone. And this phone, as you'd expect, lasts throughout the day without any issues. And the thing is, with warp charging, even with the OnePlus 3T, which has a battery that has degraded a lot, I don't worry too much about the battery because I do know that I can just plug it in and it will fast charge. I don't know what the fast charging is called on the OnePlus 3T, but it can warp charge on the OnePlus Nord. And in my testing so far, obviously I haven't had it for long, so I can't say definitive amounts. But so far, I've kind of noticed that when charging it from 15% and waiting around half an hour, it got up to around 88%. Which, at least for me, is very impressive, especially for a 4100 milliamp hour battery. That's not a small battery to charge up really fast. And yeah, I really like the animations on this phone. I don't know how much of it is down to Oxygen OS and how much is just the new gesture system, which I didn't use before this phone, basically. But especially with the 90Hz display, which actually does make a really big difference. Moving between the home screen and applications and just generally navigating the operating system does feel really smooth. And I personally really do appreciate the animations. And that is obviously helped along by the 8GB of RAM that is in the phone, which comes alongside 128GB of storage. You get the option for 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and 10GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. So for me personally, I don't see that I'm ever going to really miss having the extra gigabytes of RAM. I don't really feel like that's something that I've noticed much. And as for 128GB of storage, I, again, don't feel like I'm going to need any more than that. So yeah, even though I feel like this isn't the perfectly optimized budget phone, if you wanted to pay between like £300 and £500, I do think that this is the phone to go for. Yes, there's no wireless charging, and yes, the frame is plastic, even though it does look like metal. But despite those annoyances, I do think that what you're getting in this phone is really good for the price, and to have a phone that looks this nice at this price is really nice. But anyway, yeah, you are getting a lot of good internals for this price. You're getting a lot of nice externals too. And I would definitely recommend it, at least from my first impressions. If something goes catastrophically wrong between now and, the next few weeks, I'll let you know in my full review. But what do you all think about the phone? Do you really like the phone? Are you going to get it? Have you already got it? I don't know, do you just not care about it? In which case, why are you watching this video? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section down below. But yeah, that's it for now. I hope you all stay safe and have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.